Yes, what's good, people? We're back again. The channel is back. Yeah, it has been, well, a while. There's been some problems with the channel. I don't know why YouTube needed to review it, so we had to sit back and relax and understand what was going on with it and give them a chance to sort the channel out for a couple of weeks. So we haven't been putting out any content, myself and Lee, for quite some time. We've missed the Tottenham game. We've missed the Bayern game. There's so much to catch up on. But Lee is going to be with us. Trust me, Lee will be here very, very soon. For now, though, it's myself and it's Kenny and it's Shane. Kenny, how are you, bruv?
I've had a good couple of weeks football-wise. You think about it, your title is very apt. There's a finality about your title. It's a definite about a title. It's a statement that basically you're saying, I don't want any arguments. That's what's going to happen, in my opinion. Let's discuss it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Massive statement. Arsenal win this at Chelsea, they'll win the league. I truly believe that. That's my opinion. I don't think it's done and the white flags will come out from everybody else, but I certainly do feel that'd be my opinion, and I'd start to believe and get my chest out a bit more. Shane, how are you, mate?
All good, all good. Feeling really good about Arsenal. Feeling really good about everything. I was saying it the other day. I picked Roma for Serie A this season. They're top. Arsenal, the top of the Champions League. Arsenal, the top of the league, and Ireland are into the playoffs. I don't think I've ever had a footballing week like this in my life. Everything's coming up roses. But look, what I'm more happy with is the manner we've been doing it in. You're the same as me. Kenny's the same. That we kind of keep an eye out more for this manager learning from past mistakes and stuff like that. And I'm starting to see evidence of it here and there, and that's what has me happy. That's what has me really happy. And you're right, it's a massive game, and thanks for having me on, and big up to Lee when he gets here, and Kenny Ken in the chat, and looking forward to getting into it, mate.
Yeah, without a doubt. Listen, let's talk about something that we did mention off air that I spoke and watched yesterday. Ashley Cole was on Stick to Football with Roy Keane and, of course, Wayne Rooney, Gary Neville, and Jamie Carragher. And I wanted to get your raw reaction from it, Kenny and Shane, because there's been a lot of talk about it, and he's apparently come out and been honest about what he sees has happened with the Arsenal and Chelsea debacle. And back then it was called tapping up, which, let's be real, happens all the time now. But back then it was a massive thing back in 2006. I blame a little bit of all parties involved, really, for allowing that to happen at the time. It was easily the best left back in the world, alongside the likes of Roberto Carlos and Maldini, who were still playing. And you look at what it was from a Chelsea perspective, from an Ashley Cole perspective, and an Arsenal perspective. Chelsea were laughing, really, but Arsenal and Ashley Cole, kind of not good, but also probably not so bad as well at the same time. How do you see it now that he's come out and started speaking about that, Kenny?
Well, first and foremost, it was a thing that it's a case that you couldn't avoid. There's still a lot of people at Arsenal very angry, Arsenal fans, about his departure to Chelsea, because he left Arsenal, he left Chelsea, us, when he was, obviously, I think it's before his 26th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
So his prime years, his best years, were still to come at Arsenal. So you can understand the anger, and obviously Chelsea as well. But I think, David Dein and Arsene Wenger, I should be in the dock for this. Firstly, David Dein, because he withdrew the the contract extension at the last minute. But hang on here, he would have had talks with Arsene Wenger as well. He wouldn't have done this without Arsene Wenger's knowledge. He would have spoke to Arsene Wenger, asked about Ashley Cole, and there were talks about the value of a left back in those day and age, because at the end of the day, the sexy positions was like creative midfield and up top. And basically, I've always got a theory. Feel free to interject if you wish, but during that time when Arsenal were at their pomp between 2000 to 2006, there was like a group of players who were like a little clique: Vieira, Henry, Ashley Cole, Sol Campbell, Freddie Ljungberg, and to a lesser extent Dennis Bergkamp. Now they would like to call that side, and then we do the Invincibles. All of a sudden, Henry, is being caught by Barcelona. Patrick Vieira's basically like every season he wants to go Real, he wants to leave for more money. The creeps were already there, and then with Patrick Vieira leaving, there was always a talk that Patrick Vieira was a very bad influence on Ashley Cole in terms of contract rights. So I think when Vieira left, and then you had a situation with Ashley Cole with the contract situation. As soon as that kind of one player leaves the clique, they all go together. I've seen it so many times in football. And the fact that they didn't value him because he was only a left back, that is true. I agree with that. But at the end of the day, he says that he's an Arsenal fan and money wasn't an issue. But he did have a point. Was he valued high enough, or was Wenger already going towards that? What me and Shane were talking off air, going towards the tiki taka, building sideways, Cesc Fabregas. Because by that time, Ashley Cole was having an incident with Chelsea in terms of the tapping up. Cesc Fabregas came to the side. Vieira was already looking to leave. Remember when I asked some Wenger's comments about Vieira and Fabregas? Oh, we're all right to let Patrick Vieira leave because we got Cesc Fabregas. That was around 2005, 2006. So it's clear to me that Arsene Wenger was trying to break that team up in order to get a young team in. But what doesn't make sense to me is that Ashley Cole was only 26. Surely you would want that guy to be the leader. Maybe Ashley Cole didn't tell us the full story, where he said, "Well, I didn't feel at home at Arsenal because all my friends were leaving." Because he didn't say it on the overlap, but you read his autobiography, he was talking about how all his mates were leaving, and how he didn't fit in with the younger players, especially the foreign players. He didn't say that on the overlap. So, if you want to look for the truth, just get your jigsaw out, get the puzzles, read his autobiography, then watch the overlap, then put all the pieces together, and that'll be the truth.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that I listened to, Shane, that I thought, yeah, that sounds about right. There's a lot I listened to that I thought, yeah, Simon's telling the truth there. Like how you can put a 60 grand-ish contract down and then pull it away, and then Chelsea go and offer him one that was a couple of grand more, and he goes, yeah, go on, and I'll go there. It doesn't make sense to me. That something's gone wrong there, Shane, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, he said before that I think it had been pre-agreed at 65 or something like that, and Arsenal offered him 5 grand left, and he nearly crashed the car, and all those quotes came out at the time. I'm with you. I think it's a mixture of both. I think both sides are telling half truths and both sides are telling lies, and it's somewhere in between. The whole thing that I do question him on is he had met up with Mourinho, with, like we said, the famous tapping up, and he had met them in the hotel or wherever it was previously. And I said to you backstage, if I was a manager and I found that out about my player, I'd be like, right, go on, then away you go. So I wonder if there's a bit of that to it. I would question his loyalty there, but it is a shame because I had Kenny on and I had Jez on and people like that, and Kyle Walsh for their Arsenal all-time 11. And when we were talking about the Ashley Cole, Pires, Henry left-hand side, like I could safely say now that we'll never see anything like that again in our lifetime. Like I'd safely say that was devastating. Like in world football, that was devastating. So it was a shame. I think Kenny's right. He was a bit undervalued just because he was a left back. And like we were saying backstage, I genuinely think that Wenger had planned on the way football was going. He had seen that it was going into the sort of the late to early 2010s. It was going to go very techie, very non-contact, almost like basketball, which it did for a stage. A bit of contact has come back now, but he saw it too early and he moved too early for it, and he brought in the Nielsens of this world and the Fabregases, and he didn't have any enforcer in midfield. And he thought that if I have the 3 of these in midfield, I can just pass my way out of trouble. But the Nielsen isn't Busquets, and and they're not Xavi, and they're not these guys. So I do think that if he had have moved that way 3 or 4 years later, we might have been okay. He just got it wrong, and I think he thought, right, Clichy's here. I think he felt that. I think it's a mixture of both. I think Ashley Cole felt undervalued. I think Arsenal did slightly undervalue him, but it's 50-50 for me. If he wouldn't have met up with Chelsea if it wasn't already in his head. So I'm not buying the whole they came and saved me sort of thing. I think it's 50-50. Both sides dropped the ball, and I've read David Dean's book. I've read all that sort of stuff, and like Kenny said, you have to sort of lay it all out on the table and pick certain points, and you might find something. Will we ever know the full truth? I don't know, but I think it was just it was both sides dropping the ball. I think he got his head turned. I think he felt undervalued. I remember hearing a story of him sitting there at the end of the last game of the season against Wigan at Highbury when he was sitting there with Henry, and he was upset that they weren't singing his name and stuff like that. They were singing Henry's name, and they were singing, but you are a left back. I'm sorry, it's always the attacking players. That's just the way it goes. We do sing for left backs and right backs, but at the time it wasn't. It was just attacking players. But yeah, for me, it's 50-50. It's 50-50. And the ill will that some fans hold towards him, I've kind of thought on it a little. It's modern football. Players move on. I don't like what he did, but I wouldn't, boo him or anything if I was if I saw him. It's one of those things. You move on. The club's bigger than the player, but yeah, I think it's 50-50. I think somewhere in between is where the problem was.
Yeah, look, I agree. I do think there's a lot of drama with it all, and not just one person to blame. But Lee brought up the Ashley Cole thing because it was brought up on the Stick to Football, and it was quite interesting. We're just getting our thoughts on it. But personally, I don't particularly hate Ashley Cole like some people do. I'm a little bit like Shane. I'm the same with Fabregas and same with everyone that had the ambition that did not match theirs, basically. And when Arsenal Football Club don't match the ambition of the player, they're going to go, aren't they? Especially when they're not from our area, right? So if they're from a different country or whatever, it's even more so to be a mercenary. Look, I know why Van Persie wanted to leave, and if the rumours are true, it was a joke, to be honest, what he was told. And then he leaves because he goes, well, I don't want to be around that. Good luck winning trophies. I'm going to go and win some of my own. Same with Nasri, same with Clichy, same with Sagna, and all these guys that left for Man City as well. Fabregas, Alexis Sanchez, They all wanted to leave, not to go and play for that beautiful club. It was to go and win trophies. They didn't care where they went. They just wanted to go and win. So I'm kind of with Ashley Cole. And look, let's be real. As much as we all hated it, it was the right decision for him because he went on to win everything in football and be one of the best left backs there's ever been. So that's kind of where I'm at, really, Lee. I don't know what you thought of it.
Listen, I think it's a little bit different with Van Persie, with Ashley Cole. Ashley Cole just left after the back of a Champions League final. They just won the Invincible a couple of seasons before that. What I will say is that, if you're in work or whatever and you're the best at your job, which he was at the time, I think at the time probably one of the best left backs in the world, you go on England duty and you find out that someone like Michael Bridge, who's not Michael Bridge,
Wayne Bridge.
Michael Bridge. Where am I getting that from? Sorry, Michael, my mate Michael, sorry. Wayne Bridge is on twice as much as you. There's a conversation you've got to have with Arsenal. You just turn around and say, hold on a minute, look, he's on twice as much as me. I'm a much better player. You've got to match that. And Arsenal weren't prepared to do that, and I think that's where they went wrong. And I don't blame him for that, I know, the other thing it is said, which is true. I know this is a fact. It's true because spoken to David Dean about this, that they offered £55,000 to him, and then they withdrew that. That is a fact. You know what I mean? So if you're Ashley Cole and there's a couple of scenarios there that would make you think, well, hold on a minute, what's going on here? So from my point of view, I understand it. If I'll be really honest with Ashley Cole, and I'd say it to his face, don't burn your bridges. The way you went around it, having secret meetings and all that. Come out being open and everything like that, and be honest about it. And then, I think he said today, was it today or yesterday, he said that it was like Real Madrid that he was looking to go to. So listen, it looked like. Do you want it from an Arsenal point of view? This is how I see it, Dan. They thought that Ashley Cole was a good asset. They could sell him. They had Clichy in the wings, and they felt that he could replace him and do not as good a job, but near enough as good a job as him, and earn and save a lot of money. That's what I think from Arsenal's point of view. So why blame Ashley Cole? You know what I mean? So
it was start of the decline for me, if I'm honest. Like, we sold Vieira, we sold Ashley Cole, David Dean left, we went to the Emirates. I'm thinking, this what's going on here?
Dan, sorry to cut in. Lee, you and Dad just left something out. Lee, you alluded to the point I made earlier when you were on your way to the stream. No one's talked about Arsene Wenger's part in this. You've alluded to the fact that he had Clichy waiting in the wings. I've stated that Arsene Wenger, there was a clique at Arsenal, and Arsene Wenger, one by one after we won the FA Cup in 2005 and the Champions League final, the first member of that clique to go is Patrick Vieira. And he said, well, we got Fabregas. You just alluded to the fact that we had Clichy in the wings. And Shane talks about, Barcelona. Yeah. The common denominator in all of this, actually, I think, is Arsene Wenger. I think David Dean got to Arsene and consulted Arsene and came back and withdrew the offer. Yeah, he gets away scot-free, and he's like Atticus Fish out of To Kill a Mockingbird, the good guy who wouldn't do any wrong. When this is a man who ran the club from top to bottom. I mean, if Arsene Wenger really wanted to keep Ashley Cole, Ashley Cole got his 90 grand. Don't minimise Arsene Wenger's fingerprints all over this. And it's not because Arsene Wenger out, it's footballing logic. You can't have a situation when you have complete control of the club. Fans, sing that verse to me all the time, yet he was powerless to stop Ashley Cole from leaving Arsenal. He was powerless when over the contract offer. Jesus Christ, can you see? Look at my feet. Can you see bells? Are they ringing?
Yeah, look, I kind of feel weird. I didn't expect to be talking about this, to be honest, and going back to that time. But I do agree there's a lot that was kind of wrong back then. And I think Wenger definitely is to look at it. David Dean, you've got to look at as well. Obviously, his departure. But how to break up the Invincibles? I mean, I'm not really a basketball fan, but the Chicago Bulls pretty much did the same thing under Phil Jackson and Jordan, all them lot. They just went, and they could have had easily another couple of years, to be fair. But look, I think, if I'm honest, that Invincible side, the biggest thing from that was that Gary Neville said that 98 side was better, and Jamie Carragher thinks 2002 was better. So it's very interesting, to be honest, to see that the Invincible side is still not recognised as one of the most successful Arsenal, the best Arsenal team, I should say. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Because it isn't, Dan. Because it isn't, Dan. The best Arsenal teams that I've ever seen, and remember, it's a debate we're probably going to have probably at the end of the season if we win the league, because if we win the league, that would be part of the conversation as well. But the best sides I've ever seen is Arsene Wenger's 2002 team and George Graham's 91 side, and then the Invincibles in third place.
I mean, yeah, I think everyone's got their favourites. I think 2002 was better than the Invincibles in terms of the team itself. I think they'll always be remembered ahead of them. But really, they won the double that season. And 98 were unbelievable as well with Petit and Vieira. But yeah, look, enough nostalgia. We've got bigger things to worry about right now. And Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Shane, I'll start with you. I said with Curtis the other night that I will start believing if we beat Chelsea that we will win the league. And if people ask me, who do I think will win the league? If we beat Chelsea, I will say Arsenal from now on. Mikel Arteta deserves praise this season so far. We are already in November. I get it. But from what I've seen so far, there's only really the Manchester City and Liverpool game that I was a bit frustrated with him. Everything else, pretty cool. There's still things I think he can do better. There's still definitely team selection at times and the substitution at times and overplaying people, etc. But I do think he's improved on a lot of things. But this game is massive this weekend, Shane, in my opinion, because I do believe that if we lose this game, Chelsea will be so insufferable and they will think they're in title races. And if we win it, I truly believe that Arsenal put themselves as huge favourites for the Premier League, mate. So how do you see this game this weekend, bruv?
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive. I was saying before the Tottenham game that if I had to pick out of the 3 games upcoming, 2 wins and a loss, I would have said, right, we'll lose the Bayern game and win the other 2. I think that the Champions League is more recoverable. I just think that this is massive for sending out a message. I think we've done that well recently, sending out messages going, okay, this is a game we normally slip up in. Here you go. This is a game, and laying down a marker. I'm with you. I got to the point with this manager where it wasn't so much the results. I was looking to see if he's learning from past mistakes. I wanted to see if the stubbornness was gone, because that's what I've seen trip us up in previous seasons. And I'm seeing hints of it in the last few weeks. I didn't see it at the start of the season. The Man City game, the Liverpool game, that was still a bit of the old Arteta for me. Now, I feel that I think it's common, you know, commonly known that he's being told this season it's trophies or we'll have to have a serious talk. And I think at the start of the season that scared him. I think it scared him at the start of the season. I think the Newcastle game switched something. I think he realised, okay, we are the best team. I don't need to keep going to these grounds and locking up, and I don't. Something switched. And I the last week or two, I think I've seen him embrace the pressure now for the first time ever. I think I've seen him go, do you know what, this is actually quite enjoyable being the front runner. This is quite enjoyable when people are talking. I don't have to worry because they're bigging us up and that I can blow it. And I've just seen him kind of embrace the pressure. I've seen him in-game management against Bayern was phenomenal. And this is the thing. Yes, I criticize him all the time, right? All the time. But when he does things well, I praise him. And that should always be the case with football teams. That should always be the case in life. I mean, if you go into your job and someone says, can you have this on my desk by Tuesday? And you say yes, and Wednesday comes around, they're going to say, well, you didn't do very well there, did you? So that's, if you get it in on time and it's good, they'll say, right, well done. I don't know why this guy should be immune to that. Criticism is good. And I always say this, it seems like we're nitpicking, and we are when we say, okay, it was a good win, but this one little thing. And I've said this a thousand times, in elite sports, Champions League, things like, you can do 95% of things right throughout the season, but someone else might do 97% of things right. So you need to concentrate on that 5% and go, these are the things we did. We need to look at that. So when I said it was in 95% of things.
Oh, is that me or him?
No, I think I'm still there. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Kenny's on
Yeah.
mute. Shane,
Yeah.
Shane's, I think.
Yeah.
I think Shane's he's frozen.
He's frozen.
right.
Right.
Hopefully he'll come back in a minute.
Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go. Hopefully he'll come back in a minute. But look, I actually do agree with a lot of what Shane was saying there in terms of where Arteta's at and what we need to do in this weekend and how early it is in the season. But Kenny, the reason this is so massive is because I do believe, although it's so early on, I do think it's probably one of the biggest games of the season so far. Certainly as far as Chelsea are concerned, if they can dent our kind of winning streak and put a kind of dent in early on in our title dreams, then that's what they want to do, mate. Even a draw for them would be like seen as good because 6 points with Cole Palmer coming back, they'll still be confident. But how do you see this one, Kenny?
Without saying that, it's Stav. The thing with Chelsea is there's one thing in football that's actually footballing law, unwritten footballing law. Never write Chelsea off in any big game, especially when it's at Stamford Bridge, which is virtually under the lights because obviously we're in sort of British winter time. They got nothing to lose. They got a very, very good midfield, an excellent midfield of Caicedo and Fernandes, who's playing at number 8 position, getting the goal scoring positions. Reece James is playing as well in that midfield as well, and they got some good left, right side players and left footed players in Neto. They've got Esteval, who's still making his way, but he's had some great moments this season already. Cole Palmer will be back as well, and I think he'll start this game. But don't underestimate the partnership between Fofana and Chalobah. That's quietly improving. So they're quietly looking solid. And obviously, if they beat Arsenal, it's 3 points. I don't think they're going to think about winning the title. All they're thinking about is the momentum they're on, beating Barcelona, having a good result against Burnley. It's about the Arsenal game, being a derby. And there's loads of things at stake for Chelsea. You know, they see themselves as London's top dogs, not us. So obviously they'll be playing for that as well. But in terms of how it affects Arsenal, it's a valid point. Obviously, you have to be cautious, but Arsenal have been set so many tests this season where in previous seasons you've been worried, but they passed all those tests. Newcastle away was a test. We passed that one. Fulham away, who causes a lot of difficulty, we passed that test. And then you think about Atletico Madrid, you know, Simeone's side, we absolutely walloped them, passed that test. And then a couple of nights ago, Bayern Munich. So it's a case that every, exam we've been set, whether it's like the higher paper or the intermediate, we've been passing those tests. So it is logical to say that, yeah, you've got a point. And also, most importantly, is the inconsistency of Man City. Man City is the closest challengers, but what they've shown this season is that whenever they've had this tricky away game that they used to win, all the time, they struggled. They didn't beat Brighton a goal up. They didn't. They lost to Aston Villa, and Newcastle beat them. Beat them in a tight game, but Newcastle tactically were better than them and took their chances. So these are 3 games. If you want to win the title, you've got to win those games. No excuses. Or if you don't win the games, you get a point. So the further we are away from our rivals, and the more evidence that it probably isn't a title race, that we're out on our own, it's a very, very valid point. But it is the 1st of December on Monday, Dan. There's other games. Villa away, home and away is very tricky. You would probably say that if we pass those tests against Villa home and away and win a tricky game against, Brighton, it's looking good, because unfortunately for Liverpool, that when we played on the 8th of January, they're a shadow themselves. It'll be a situation where it won't be a contest if they carry on with like this. So yeah, you've got a very good point. But the thing about football bites you up the arse, especially when you leave the back door open. You leave the keys in the car ignition, or you leave the keys in the back door and walk in and forgot to lock up. People clean up after that. So you've got to be one game at a time. But I will say that I've seen teams like this go on to win the title. Teams with the security defensively, the confidence, and the ability to change gears. That's what Arsenal have done really well this season.
Yep.
They know how to win games with 3rd gear, 2nd gear, and at full throttle. They've got all that in their armory. And that is a team of all seasons. So long may it continue, but we've been there before where we've been disappointed.
Well, the thing is, we got players coming back. They've got players coming back. Jenny says here, the battle of the midfield. Hope you're well, Jen. Battle of the midfield Sunday. I worry that they have the 2nd most clean sheets and they've created the most chances. And I do agree, Chelsea can cause us some big problems. Esteval's looking cold right now. Palmer's back. They've got 2 of the better fullbacks in the league, of course, and their midfield, to be fair, is one of the best around. So they're going to cause some issues. But Lee, I think people are obsessing too much on this Rice and Caicedo thing, because I'm actually looking forward to the other battles, because I feel like, Esteval and Calafiori will be a very interesting one if he does play. Esteval and Calafiori does play. I also think Saka and Cucurella is always good to have a look at, because I think both team players have got the better of each other, to be fair, for club and country. And Rice and Caicedo might actually come up against each other, because Rice is going to play on that kind of side and Caicedo likewise. So I think there's some key individual battles for this one, judges, and it's, for me, going to be about who's actually fit for Chelsea and who's fit for Arsenal, because there's been a lot of rumours that Havertz and Gyökeres, Trossard as well, by the way, Odegaard, Madueke and Martinelli back now. Sounds like Gabriel could be the only absolute, definite that's out. Everyone else got a chance, apparently, of playing a part of it, other than Gabi Jesus. So I feel like this could be a real interesting kind of bit of team news when it comes out, if I'm honest.
Yeah, listen, it's interesting team news when you've got games week in, week out now till January. So it's very, very important. Listen, this is important, but we have fans. We've been here before when you play title games and whatever. I remember we played. I think it was Liverpool away around about December time. We ended up winning 2-1. I think it was the time, Kenny will tell you, when Broncos got sent off and we ended up winning 2-1. It's a major thing, but you don't actually say, "Oh, we're going to win the league from there on." But what it does, it gives you confidence going on to win the league. You know that you're in with a shout. I think this game's important just as much to Arsenal it is to Chelsea. I think because our 2 biggest rivals so far, I think we've let ourselves down in both games. Liverpool and Man City, I think we've let ourselves down. I didn't think we performed to the way I wanted to us against Liverpool. And against Manchester City, I was disappointed the way I know we got the goal in the end, but I thought, we should have won that game. So, this is another closest rival. So you want to be producing a performance. The last 2 times we've gone here, Dan, in the league, we've drawn both times and actually been second best team. So we need to take our A game to Chelsea on Sunday. And I think if we do win, it's a massive statement. But listen, what it does, it gives you a bit of breathing space, a little bit of confidence going into the next game, which is Aston Villa away from home. Before that, of course, we got Brentford, but I'm talking about away games. We're actually coming up against Chelsea, who are second in the league as it stands. They'll probably be third or fourth when we play them, because City will get the 3 points on Saturday. You would think, hopefully they don't, but you would think that they will. So we're playing a top team in Chelsea. I think then we're playing Brentford, who are in very, very, very good form at the moment. I'd be interested to see where they're as far as form's concerned. And then I think we're taking on the informed team in the Premier League. I know they lost in Europe, but that's a different thing, or no, they won in Europe, didn't they? But they weren't great. But when it's come to the Premier League, they've come from nowhere, by the way, Villa now, and they're up there in the top 4. So you're playing two teams that are away from home in the next 2 games that I think are challenging for top 4, as well as the title. So, this is a big, big game for Arsenal. I don't care what anybody says, and I think that this last week we've done some statement stuff, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people felt that we weren't going to beat Spurs. People were thinking, we might get a draw, might slip up, smash them. The game against Bayern Munich, no, you're not going to beat Bayern Munich. They're a good team and all that. Like, the second half we played in that game was the best I've seen Arsenal play for a very, very long while.
Yep.
After the first half. And then what can you do against a Chelsea side? Like, you know what I mean? Can you put them out of the title race? Now, you can't win the title in November. You can't, but you can lose it. Like, are Liverpool title challengers at the moment?
No.
I think everybody's saying no. They're 11 points behind, right? Okay. Now, if you can put 9 points behind Chelsea, they're virtually out of it as well. So it's two of the main rivals down in as Kenny said, not even in the 1st of December. That is fantastic news for us. So I think that's what we've got to try and do. Then, you'd say, right, it's out of us and Man City, and you'd rather have 2 battling for it when you're the 7 points in front than 4 teams battling it and you're 3 points in front, So I think it's massive that we get there. I think that Chelsea are a good side, but they've got flaws in their team. And let's be honest, there was times when Arsenal were a team like Chelsea that were developing and all that. And what did Chelsea do when they come to us? Put us in our place, told us, you're nowhere near ready yet. And that's what we've got to do to Chelsea on Sunday. We've got to go there, get the result, then walk in the dressing room and go, we're not quite at Arsenal's level. That is what we have to do on Sunday, And I think we will? Yeah, I do. After that, I think the Sunderland performance second half was outstanding. And what we've come back to. Don't underestimate how difficult that is, Dan, to come back from international football to play a North London derby after an international break. It's not an easy game for us, as we well know, but make it look easy. 4 days later, take on the best team in Europe at that moment in time, because they were top of the league. They'd just beaten PSG away from home. They've beaten Chelsea. They're no mugs, Bayern Munich. We've gone and done that now. Come on, get this one over the line. That's all I say now. Get it done, and then we concentrate on Brentford and Villa. But I think if we can pick up 9 points in the next 3 games, that is, I'm not saying we're going to win the title, but that is putting a lot of pressure on the other teams as well around us. And we can be over the hill and far away like Liverpool were last season, Dan. And that's what we've got to do. Let's not make it a title race. Let's just make it out. Let's just try and get it on our own. Make us, the team that no one can catch. And that's how I look at it now, And, listen, if we don't beat Chelsea, we draw against Chelsea, you're giving encouragement to teams around us, So I think it's important that we win this one.
It is a must win, Shane, I'll be honest. And I know you cut out there, man, so I'll bring you back in because the team news is going to be really interesting for me. I think the Bayern Munich team we put out there, I think it will be similar, other than I think Nkapie will come back in and I think Calafiori will start at left back. I expect it to be a similar scenario. Now, of course, we've got Trossard, who's a doubt, question mark. I imagine it will probably be Martinelli, but some people are suggesting we can play Eze on the left and Ødegaard into the middle. I'll get Kenny's thoughts on that in a minute because he's shaking his head. So, some are saying that it could be Madueke that plays on the left wing. So, what are you saying to the team news, Shane?
Yeah, I think you're right that Calafiori will come back in, and I think Nkapie will come back in. I think Nkapie just wasn't right for the Bayern game. He looked knackered coming off in the Tottenham game, which is good. This is the thing I'm talking about when I've got to the point now where I'm so skeptical that I'm looking out for changes in Arteta if he's learning from past mistakes. And there has been hints of it. Like I said, he seems to be embracing that pressure now, whether he's listening to Heinze, whether he's Berta saying you need to start using these players, whether it's the board. I don't know. But I will say that whatever it is, it seems to be working, whether he's going against his natural instincts at times. But like I said, he seems to be enjoying it now. Maybe it took making a decision he didn't want to make, seeing it work, and then going, okay, do you know what? Maybe I have been a bit stubborn here. There's still points that he needs to fix. I mean, if I do see Trossard at the wing, that'll worry me that he's back to just playing players regardless. He doesn't need to play him. He doesn't need to play him. So if he does play him, I know he's in form. And we do have to discuss at some point when he does, because I don't think it's a question of if, I think it's when he shoehorns Odegaard back in the middle and Eze goes out to left. I don't think it's a question of if, I think it's when. I don't see him dropping Zubimendi. I don't see him dropping Rice. And I don't see him dropping Odegaard. So I think he will shoehorn him in to either to the left. I just don't see a world where Odegaard's on the bench when he's fully fit. Now, I think that could be devastating. And that seems like a harsh word to say, but I really do, because what's happened is something that we were calling out for in the summer, a lot of us, was play a double pivot. Play Rice in a double pivot. Let him box to box. Don't keep him left 8. Don't lock him up like that. Let him be a box to box. And whether it's happened by mistake, whether he's feared that Zubimendi might get Kai out on his own and he's naturally dropped Rice beside him. Again, I don't mind whatever way it happened. It's happened. And Eze, by circumstances, being given more freedom in the 10, because I don't like a 10 that's locked down. I think a 10 should be given complete freedom. And Eze seems to have had a good bit of freedom, and we've seen recently what he can do with it. Now, whether Odegaard can carry that freedom on his own the way Eze does, I don't know. So I do worry about that. But these are the changes that we look out for, Dan. We look for, okay, it hasn't worked with Rice in the left 8. Put him in box to box. He does it. It works out. And we go, okay, great. So when we have these other fans saying, oh, like, you don't get to celebrate and all, so you go, well, he's only doing the stuff that we were asking for. So I would like to see more rotation. I know you're with me on that. I think that is something he really has to work on, because if Rice drops down with an injury for an extended period of time, that midfield for me looks a hell of a lot different. He is that important to us. So you have to wrap him up. Like, you can't do it obviously against Chelsea. You can't do it against Tottenham, but you can do it against Slavia Prague, who haven't won in 18 years. That's when you can leave him at home. Don't bring him off the bench in the League Cup. Just leave him at home. Don't even put him on the bench. Don't have him warming up, warming down. So he needs to adjust these things. But again, like I said, 5%, that's the stuff we have to concentrate on. And you know me, like, I texted you the other day and said if we beat Chelsea, I think I'm like you. I won't believe that we're going to go win it all, but I'll definitely allow myself to believe that we can go do something. Right? That's what I'll do. I'll allow myself to believe that we're going to go do something. But I will praise this manager when he does things right. And I've been one of his biggest critics. I've been one of his fervent critic of him. But when he starts doing things right, I'll say, this is great. This is great. You know, me and Big Views did a match reaction after the last 2 games. We were just buzzing, absolutely buzzing, seeing these. It's amazing. Right, so if he gets us over the line, I'll give him all the flowers in the world. But I need to see just that little 5% improvement. I need him to listen to Heinze and listen to other people, which he seems to be doing. And I'll finish on this because, and I know I've said it a few times, but it's what's really got me excited is he genuinely seems to see now that, you know, this pressure is a good thing. It's good to be seen as the best team. It's good to be puff your chest out, you know, go for the kill. When he went, he traded blows with Bayern in the first half, realized, okay, we're happy just to punt the ball over the top. And we said this, and if we just make set pieces part of our arsenal and add it to open play goals, we decimate teams with that because they ball goes out for a corner, they're under pressure. We play through them, they're under pressure. And that second half against Bayern, I'm with Lee. That was for me the best half we've played under Mikel Arteta. For me,
Yeah, it was
from his point of view. His in-game management was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So
I
only
thought
plaudits for him at the
was
moment.
best.
Yeah,
like, it was up there with some of the best football that I've seen live from Arsenal. It really was. It was
such a good mixture, Dan, wasn't it?
It was incredible, man. And I wasn't expecting that because the first half was just what I expected. I thought it was being the second half of that. But what I saw was just so good, man. But look, I've got to shoot, so I'm going to leave you with judges because I've got another show at 6. But team news and predictions from you guys. I'll give mine very quickly. I think the team, Kenny. I'll bring Kenny in after this and let Lee take over because he was going like this when I was talking about what the team would be. But I think it will be Raya, Timber, Saliba, Nkapie, and Calafiori. I think he'll go back to what it was at Spurs. Rice and Zubimendi with Eza because I think Ødegaard will come on, but I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it will be Trossard if he's fit on the left with Saka and Marino. And if it isn't Trossard fit, I think he'll play Martinelli. But I'll let Kenny come in on what he thinks the team news is, and I'll leave you guys to it. But Lee, I'll let you take over. Bro.
No worries. Cheers, Dan. Cheers, Dan. By the way, before Kenny comes in, that is my team. But I've got a little feeling that he may bring in Ødegaard and play Eze out on the left. I've got a feel. I think he might. If he doesn't do it this game, he will do it
in the next one. Yep.
In the next one, Kenny, you're nodding your head there. What is your team? Come on.
Well,
Kenny, is that a no? Is that a no? You don't think it'll happen, or a please God no?
Bit of both. Bit of both. I think my team. Obviously, Rayo play. Calafiori play at left back, and because I think he's going to deal with a sort of Chelsea strong right hand side. On the left hand side, on our right hand side, it's going to be Timber. Nkapie will resume his place alongside Saliba. Midfield will be Eze. He's Ødegaard back in the team. It'll be Zubimendi and Declan Rice because it's going to be a very fascinating battle. If Malo Gusto is fit for Chelsea, then I can see Reece James being in that Chelsea midfield alongside Caicedo and Fernandes. In terms of our front three, Saka picks himself. I'm going to talk about Marino in a minute, but if the left hand side, he's talking about Trossard, it not being too serious. So if it's not too serious, Trossard will start. But if Trossard doesn't start, Martinelli will not be playing that team. I guarantee you that Martinelli will be used to comfort the bench when he can get on the shoulder of a tired defence rather than start the game. If anyone's going to play the left hand side, then he'll go to what I thought was going to be his plan A before Trossard found form, which has been a Madueke in the left hand side to give us something a bit different. Rather than he was looking to go inverted on Saka's side, but on the Madueke side, he's going to go like an orthodox left winger. However, there it does lend, like I said, the option of both of them switching.
Would you go that? Or are you saying what he would be?
I've noticed what I'll do as well.
I thought
the minute Madueke came to the club, I penciled him as
the left side.
Left side.
I'm not convinced, though, Ken. I don't think he was that great against Bayern Munich.
No, I think it's not so much that. I think when you look at Madueke, obviously we're used to watching players. We're so used to the last 10 years to the inverted winger role, where we've forgotten about a right winger get on the byline and crossing, and the Madueke as well. I think I know where you're coming from, because when Madueke gets the ball on the left-hand side, he slows it down. He looks up and he doesn't actually look to get past his player. Whilst when he's on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, boom, gets it, goes, direct, tries to get crosses in, tries to get in the box. So I do see where you're coming from, but you only go by the last two games. Tottenham, North London derby, Trossard comes off, no Martinelli, Madueke. Trossard gets a knock against Bayern Munich, it's Madueke. So I think that's where he's going to go. But one thing we seem to forget in all this sort of praise of our results is Mikel Marino's role. I think Eze must look at Mikel Arena and go, thank God you're in the team. Because if you notice that with Mikel Arena, he does something a little bit similar to what Harry Kane was doing on Wednesday, where he was dropping into the
they switched
the midfield. And what was happening is that players were running past him. Eze, have you noticed that when Mikel Arena, in the last few games when Mikel Arena has played, Eze's been coming past him and getting into forward position.
He was almost like a 9 for a stage.
Yeah,
Against Tottenham for a lot of stages.
There's no accident that Eze's got a space to run into, just like he did at Crystal Palace at Queen's Park Rangers. And that's why you've seen Queen's Park Rangers and Crystal Palace performances. And it also helps Trossard as well, because Trossard can get into the forwards where he's not just stuck on a wing. He can actually make runs into the box and be dangerous. And it helps Saka as well to a certain extent, because Saka can now find space. So Mikel Arena, when you talk about, obviously plan A was Gyökeres, but with Mikel Arena, it gives us that little bit option where our attacking players aren't sort of stuck in that kind of rut of trying to break down low blocks. Space is being created where where he's taking defenders out of their comfort zones, and he's creating space for the Eze, where Eze can do his damage. And that's why when I look at the game against Chelsea, that's going to be very, very important, because Mikel Arena is going to have to do what he's been doing in order to drag Fofana out of his comfort area, drag Chalobah out of the comfort area, and that's when you can get Eze into the side. Whilst Odegaard's a kind of different number 10, where Odegaard's the sort of person who he will try to pass through the lines. He'll try and get close to Saka and try to make for him there. Whilst Eze's done kind of the more, attacking, kind of player. But it's a game I'm really looking forward to. The battles are just going to fascinate me. Calafiori,
all over the pitch.
Calafiori against having to deal with Palmer sometimes and having to deal with Neto. And obviously, Garnacho and Timber's going to be quite interesting. But one player, before I hand back to Lee, watch out for Cucurella, because Cucurella is controversial, and be gentle with me. He's looking like the best left back in the country at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that. So what questions for both of you? Do you think if Cole Palmer's fit, he starts, or he don't?
I don't know. Maresca came out and said that he'd missed the game earlier. It's only a fractured toe. That wasn't a broken toe. I don't know. If we will, because Kenny mentioned Garnacho. I don't think Garnacho will start. I think Neto will start out the left, because I think they'll go with the lap up front and try and get crosses into him, early crosses, especially with no Gabriel. And I think Estevao obviously will start out the right. But maybe Cole Palmer, it's him or João Pedro. I don't know. I think he'd be on the bench. I think if he's there, he'll be on the bench. Maresca seems to be very careful with fitness and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's the same. It goes to us with Trossard as well. Unless it was just a knock, but he wouldn't be getting scans for a knock. Even if he's passed as fit, I still wouldn't risk him. We have the players now not to be risking these guys, and this has been an issue for us for a while. Just don't play him. Just leave him on the bench. Go with Madueke. Go with Martinelli. I'm with Kenny as well. I think Martinelli, he's a victim of his own success in that he keeps scoring coming off the bench like Solskjaer. So that's just becoming his role now. And sometimes players are so devastating off the bench that it becomes what they are, and no player is happy with it. But if Arteta can keep them all happy, as in, this is your role now, and I'll start you here and I'll start you there. Like Martinelli has stunned me this season. Trossard especially has stunned me this season. Like I said, I'll be critical when I'm not happy with something, but if something changes my mind, Calafiori's another one. I've written him off. I just thought, nah, you're too dodgy. And he's impressed me massively this season. So I'm with Kenny. There's going to be battles all over the pitch. I think it will be Raya, Calafiori, and Capier, Saliba, Timber, Rice, Zubimendi. I think Eze will start. And I think it will either be Madueke or, if Trossard's fit, Saka, Marino. But I'm with you as well. I do think that I don't see a world where if he has a fit Zubimendi, Rice, and Odegaard, that the three of them don't start in most games. Yeah. And I'm afraid of that. And I'm afraid of if I saw him not force Odegaard back into the team, that would be massive for me in thinking we can go on and do it, because I need to see this from him. I need to see that he's not going back to old habits, because I'm seeing bits of it, like I said, and that's what's getting me most excited. Because you can ask Dan, like 2-3 weeks ago, I was just sack him, and I just had enough at this stage. But when all I ever ask for every time I go live is I just want to see that he's not making the same mistakes. So I do think he's making mistakes at Rice. He's playing him too much. But he took Saka off with half an hour left. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it against Bayern, and I was so happy with that. Not for Saka. You know, I'm not going, oh, I want you off. You're not playing great or anything like that. I just thought, this is brilliant. This is what I want to see. I love seeing this because it shows that you're aware that these players aren't robots, you know, when he took Timber off so if he can start to learn those things. But yeah, I do think that that Odegaard will be forced back in, and I feel that he slows down the pace too much. And I look at the hat-trick that Eze got against Tottenham, and I go, Odegaard ain't doing that. He ain't snapping those shots off the same way. And I look at the ball Eze played over the top for Martinelli, and I go, he's not doing that either. He's taking an extra touch. So I do worry for little things like that. But maybe if Odegaard comes in like 22, 23, when we're playing better football, maybe he'll start to play. Maybe he needs everyone around him to be playing good. He's not a grab the game by the scruff of the neck sort of player. So it'd be interesting to see who starts. I'd love to see, you know, like Trossard on the bench just because he's not fully fit, and then go and win. And like has been said here, if we go do that, I'm more worried about the Villa away. They have the best home record in the last 28 games in the top 5 leagues. I think they've lost 1 and won 24 or something like that. So they're devastating at home. So if we can get through all of them, we have to be able to dream at that point. Even as Arsenal fans, we have to let ourselves dream at that point. But yeah, it's going to be a cracker of a game on Sunday.
Yeah, I think with the Odegaard situation, I think that, you know, at the moment you can get him. I don't think there's when you say I'll force him to come in, like, you know, I'll force him in. I think you could say, look, we've got Brentford on Wednesday, give him a game then, like, you know, then take him out, go back to the normal team against Aston Villa, a bit of rotation, a little bit. Then when you go to Bruges, maybe make a couple more changes and that, like, just ease it in that way. But listen, I'm with you on this. There will be a stage when you're going to go, right, Odegaard's ready now and he's going to come back into the team. It'd be interesting to see what happens, like, you know, from there. The other thing with Declan Rice, I'm with you, he needs to rest, but when? You know what I mean? Like, the drop-off with Declan Rice is the only problem we've got at this moment, because if you said to me you're playing, if someone said to me Mosquera's playing on Sunday instead of Nketiah, it don't bother me. I think if you played Madueke or Martinelli on the left side, doesn't bother me, like, you know. I think if you play Eze or Odegaard, it ain't really going to stress me out, like, you know. The one person I think you're saying, right, we're going to leave out Rice and we're going to play Norgard or Wanyeri or someone like that, I think there's a big drop off. So we're going to have to.
It's a double-edged sword, though, Lee, isn't it? It's a double-edged sword because you can ruin them by overplaying them, but you have to play them every game because they're important. But against Brentford, though, could you not play Odegaard a bit deeper next to Zubimendi against Brentford and put Eze in and put him on the bench in case you need him? I
think that's something you could do. He's done that against Nottingham Forest, didn't he? So it's something that you could do.
Chelsea rested Caicedo for 90 minutes away to Burnley.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing
is to get him, like, you know, you're playing for 60, 70 minutes, get the game won and then get him off. I don't know. These are listen, they're nice problems for him to have.
But you know, ordinary, it's Declan who's pushing to play in these games. The manager will listen to Declan, and because I hope Declan listens to his body, because, you know, the times when Declan Rice has been substituted, is him asking to come off. He can't.
Yeah, that's true, Ken. That's a great point.
And I think the thing with Declan is that he's a rhythm player. He has to play every game to keep his rhythm.
I know that. Yeah.
These performances you're seeing is because he's playing more games and because he's playing every game and he's building. And these performances, the consistency you've seen in terms of the good performances that you guys like, is because there's a rhythm. The games he's playing regularly.
Sorry, like I'm just talking like 1 in 15 games.
Oh yeah, exactly. The problem is with Arsenal is that it's the physicality of the teams we could be playing. Like Brentford are a very physical team, and as much as we would like to sort of like give Declan a rest, that's a game when we can't tell, set piece team. You know, they love the long throw. They've got some big lads in the midfield, you know, and they've got a leader in there in Jordan Henderson as well. Yeah, if I take Declan out of the game, that could be a tricky game because
I'm with you.
You know, the game that I thought that, you know, you could rotate him, was probably Sunderland. But then you looked at Sunderland, great
I don't know
Xhaka.
about that.
It was-
Slavia Prague,
I-
didn't he?
I-
Didn't he?
It depends on the physicality. To be honest, you want me to be honest, the only game that you can rest him in is Wolves. Because
Wolves and
Yeah.
Bruges.
Wolves and Bruges, but mainly Wolves. Wolves are pathetic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we're at home.
Yeah, and we're at home as well. But they're absolutely pathetic. You know, they masquerade as a football team, they masquerade as a Premiership team, and they're just imposters to the foundations that Espirito Santo.
Any Wolves fans about? We apologise for that.
It's on the behalf of Wolves fans.
Yeah,
Not-
Wolves. I
I-
think
they-
you're
they
right.
understand it's fans.
They're doomed
Because
at the moment.
they pay a lot of money. And they're true fans. They don't need to see that kind of nonsense every week. I'm doing it. They haven't asked me to do it on their behalf, but when I dig teams out and dig players out, because I know that I have empathy for their fans who go in, week out, and have to, witness that garbage they watch week in, week out.
I agree. I agree that they've been poor and all that. So it'll be interesting to see what the team is. Just before we close, I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to say Martinelli on the left, because one of the reasons I'm going to go Martinelli is because he's always done well against Chelsea. But
That's not a footballing reason, mate.
Huh?
That's not a footballing reason.
No, it ain't. But sometimes you just have that little bit against certain teams and not others. You know what I mean? I don't know why that is, but he seems to do well against Chelsea.
I know he scored last season, and he had that kind of that introduction when
he's a big game player, I know. Yeah,
he is big, off the bench.
I don't know.
I just think Martinelli's time in the side is coming to an end.
It'd be an interesting. I think that he's really, he was really going well until the injury, and he has come off the bench. He has been a big player, clutch moment player for us this season. He's done well for us, so it'd be interesting to see where.
I think what it is in some players. I think in this lineup this season, Martinelli's found his level in a sort of like a footballing sense, to the extent that he's coming off the bench. Defenders are tired. You can play the ball through the middle. You can play the ball over the top, and the defender who's been running constantly for 70 or 80 minutes, they've got a fresh Martinelli. Went, oh God,
good.
Bilbao when you went, oh God.
Yeah, listen, this thing now with
that sort of thing.
This thing with sometimes it's not your 11 that win your game. It's the players on the bench that do. Like, and our bench is going to be.
I was going to say Arsenal Wenger. Mick Arteta. One thing he did say after, I don't know whether it was after Spurs game or prior to Bayern, which was supposed to be the same thing anyway. That's a bit of tautology, isn't it? He did say that when he looks at his bench, he's very happy.
Yeah, and I think last season that was one of the things that you looked at. There was 4 kids on there that were never going to play for Arsenal. They're just bench fillers. We haven't got that now. Like, the bench, whatever way you look at it, will be strong, and there'll be options for him to go from there. Right, we're going to wrap up now quickly. Like, boys, what's predictions? What are we thinking?
I'll go first. Yeah, I predicted it today as a 2-1. I had the 2-0, and I went, you know what? No, I can see them getting a goal at some point. We've conceded in our last 3 games. People are saying we haven't missed Gabriel, but we have. We've won without him. Not massively missed him, by the way. It's been quite seamless, as in, we've shown the strength and depth and all of that sort of stuff. But I just think we're not as perfectly solid without him. But I'll give it a 2-1. I was thinking 2-2 sort of before the Bayern game, but when I saw Arteta's in-game management and all that sort of stuff, I thought, okay, do you know what? Maybe he is learning. It's another one, and it's that thing, like I said earlier, where I'll allow myself to believe, because we all have PTSD as Arsenal fans, not just under Mick Arteta, just throughout. We're Arsenal, so.
Shane, just to ask you just quickly, you've gone to that, you've changed it from 2-2 to 2-1. Is that because of the Bayern Munich game in that second half? Yeah. That has given me so much confidence, that second half performance.
Just as in-game management, Lee. Just as in-game management. And
I get you. I get what you're saying.
He eyed them up in the first half, and then he said in the second half, I don't know what he said to them at half-time, but I'd imagine it was along the lines of, we're better than them. Go out there and show them. And we did. We went out there and showed them. And if we can get the mix between, like I said, the set pieces, and he lets them play with a bit more freedom, which he's been doing, but not enough yet, but he's getting there. Go out there, play your game, take them apart. Bayern were terrified in that, absolutely terrified in that second half, because when we took them out wide, they were afraid of giving away a corner. So they let us cut back inside. And then when we cut back inside, we shredded them that way as well. It was absolutely, like I said, I will give credit where credit's due. And the more that the more that Mikel Arteta seems to learn little bits as he goes along, or listens to whatever's happening, keep doing it, mate, and keep learning. Don't be afraid to learn. Nobody's perfect. You know, you can keep doing it. And if we do go and beat them, then I will not say we're going to win it, but I will say, right, I will allow myself to believe. I'll allow myself to believe.
Love it. Kenny, what are you going for?
It's funny to say that because, you know, there's two teams who've got good players to come to the bench. They've got some, you know, like match winners as well, potentially. I think it's going to be 2-1, and it's going to be a late goal, and it could go either way. You can't write Chelsea off on their own ground.
No, I'm not writing them off at all. I'm quite worried about it.
And they're the sort of team that can give a bloody nose to teams who underestimate them. But then again, our form is so spectacular, and we don't know when we're beating. So 2-1 to either side. Hopefully.
Go on.
Yeah, no, sorry. Just what I wanted to say about the rotation. Everybody listens to me. I'm obsessed with it because I just think that's why we burn out every season and why City don't. The thing is, if we draw or lose, it makes rotating against Brentford harder. That's another thing as well. So there's a knock-on effect of not getting the 4 points that you go, well, now I can't.
Would you say that we got the points, and obviously we got the points in the bag, and we're the team possession, that you can still rotate even then? Because realistically, we will drop points. The amount of games, rotation or not, you know, quality in abundance or not, the fixture list is tyrannical. It's tyrannical because it's every 2 to 3 days. It's mental pressure and physical pressure on everyone.
That's why you need to rotate, though, Kenny. That's why, because if you want to put that end-game win together,
but even if you do rotate, it still can have a physical toll on everyone. Because it's the intensity of way we play in our league.
I think us rotating we've got better options to rotate than other teams. Because if you're saying we've got to rotate, so have Man City, so have other teams, right? And I think that we're in a better position.
We think Chelsea is another team. Like
Chelsea got a big squad.
They've got a massive
squad. They are rotating a lot
than City and Liverpool. I will say this though about drop. I think psychologically, I don't think people have said about this. Was that last minute goal against South Sunderland was a big blow, really. Then on the back of that, you got to go on international break, and we've come back and we've carried on.
You know, it wasn't a big blow, Lee. You know what it was? It was just a reminder.
Yeah, I think that's how they've said it.
Tough.
Yeah,
and that regardless of your reputation as you know, the ultimate defenders, the ultimate, thou shalt not, like I said, get past their first press, thou shalt not overload us. Good players will always find a way against block defences. And I think what Sunderland did really well against us is that they got the basics right. They pressed us when they had to, and they got bodies forward, and every cross they put in was quality. Doesn't matter whether you can defend or not. If you deal with bodies forward and you get excellent delivery, it's bloody hard to defend against.
Yeah, and listen, we didn't have the players to come on the bench that we've got now.
That was from Mikel Arteta to give, because he doesn't tactically. Can you imagine if he brought Damon on 2-1 down, and they're going look what happened with our good friend Lewis-Skelly against Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich went, oh yeah, hello, left back, not part of the wide away club. Let's just play diagonal balls down his side. And what happened? He got roasted. Calafiori comes on. When the diagonal ball comes on, he heads it away. Lewis-Skelly waits for the ball to bounce, gets to the feet, boom. He thinks that his strength and pace will
listen, I think, like, going back to the Sunderland game, I think psychologically, I think that's a good feeling that they just dust it aside and said, look, it happens and we move on. And I think if things go wrong against Chelsea, I think we're mentally capable of going again. I think
we're still going to be top, you know, Lee. If we lose on Sunday, we're still the team to beat.
Yeah, of course we are.
I think if they're away, though, Kenny. They're away after Brentford. If you get 2 wins, start losing a couple of games.
That's why we always. That's why the caution comes in. You know, teams are going to raise their game against us, not because it's Arsenal, because they sort of Sunderland could do. If you get quality ball into the box, you got bodies forwards, and you work your nuts off, and you match Arsenal physically and athletically, anything can happen. But if you just sit there and say, if you sit there like Tottenham did and hold your chin out and say, you know what, don't hit me too hard.
We'll smash it. We'll smash it.
Exactly that. And that's, listen, Chelsea are going to come out and play. I think it'd be 2-1. I think we might even get a 3-1. We might nick another late one or something after a really, really tough game.
That's why I said either way. Either it could be 2-1 Chelsea last minute, like they've got against the goal they scored against Liverpool, or we could have another Gabriel situation.
So yeah, we'll wait and see. Guys, we'll leave it there. What a fantastic chat. I really enjoyed it. Shane, give yourself a plug while you're on here quickly.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. Big up to Kenny, big up to Dan, of course, on the amazing chat. Yeah, Shane Gooner, you find me over there. It's just at Shane Gooner. Every morning at 10:30, I do the full Irish breakfast. Plenty of other shows. Have an off-topic show tomorrow night and everything like that. But yeah, just click in. There's loads of things lined up. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
No worries, Kenny boy.
Well, I'm at Kenny Kane 1972, and Lee will be with me in the away end in the lower tier. And this time, Lee, I've got tickets that don't have a pole in front of it. There's no restricted view. Because my real friends look after me. Not my friend who couldn't believe his luck at my stupidity. Went, oh yeah, my mate wants to sit with me in the upper tier. Oh, here you go, Lee. I want to sit in the lower tier. All right, Ken, how are you? And he walks away like you're laughing like you're Darsley and Muttley.
I never knew that, Kenny. You make me out to be so bad. It was just a mistake that was.
No, I always thank you for doing that. It's my stupidity and my desperation to get the front row seat without checking. You need to check before you do business with people.
Yeah, I feel bad about that. Like, it's never 8 years ago.
You got to sit your best mate. You got to sit your best mate because of me. You don't.
Yeah, I know. I do appreciate you done it. I always like to get in the upper stand.
But the steward did help me out, and he recognised me from other away games, and maybe my notoriety. He said, "Right, you can sit there in the front seat because that seat's empty. It's yours." So I got looked after anyway.
Oh, that's what we like.
Fame, Kenny. The fame.
I always look after Kenny in the end. I didn't that day, but somebody else did, and that's what I say. Like, you know, what I mean? Listen, lads,
I'm in row 10 anyway.
Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy Sunday. Come on, you Gunners.
Come on, you Reds.
This game and make it a very, very, very good week for the Gunners. Take care.